Hi everyone. Let's take a look at the following limit. Find the limit of x to the power 3 minus 5x squared minus x plus 5 all over x to the power 3 plus 2x squared minus x minus 2 as x is approaching to infinity. Now, the first step is you can plug in 1. And again, you would discover in this specific limit, that's going to be 1 minus 5 minus 1 plus 5 divided by 1 plus 2 minus 1 minus 2. And that basically is going to give you 0 divided by 0. So notice you never skip step 1, always plug it in. And the moment you discover this will give you 0 divided by 0, that just means step 1 does not give you the final answer. You're going to move on to step 2, and I'm going to show you a shortcut today. And again, to avoid the paradox of choice, this is one shortcut. You're going to move on to factoring. And of course, you might be thinking, do I apply factor theorem? Do I apply the factor by grouping approach? Like, what is the best approach? So again, there are many ways of doing this, but I would say if you look at the denominator here, or I should say not the denominator, but what's under the limit as x is approaching to 1, the shortcut very often is that is exactly the factor you're thinking about. So your goal is to rewrite this in such a way that you get the limit as x is approaching to 1, and somehow there'll be an x minus 1 from the top and the bottom. And that's a very powerful shortcut. I'm not saying this works every single time, but I would say it works 98% of the time. Okay, so again, you go back and you're thinking about that. So in this case, if I think about the numerator, 1, -5, -1, and 5. I'm dividing this by x minus 1. So this is also known as dividing, not the long division method, but the shortcut, what I call the synthetic division method. And you copy, you multiply, you're adding, you're multiplying, you're adding, and you're multiplying. And this will give you 0. And of course, this will give you the quotient, which is x squared minus 4x minus 5. So you can even factor that, right? This becomes x and x. The factors of 5, they'll give you a sum of -4 is exactly -5 and +1. Now, same thing here. If I look at the denominator, I can again repeat the same process. So again, this is a shortcut. I mean, it's a much longer method, which I'm not going to explain in this video. But again, if you think about 1, 2, -1, -2, divide this by x minus 1. So this is a 1. You copy, you multiply, you add, you multiply, you add, you multiply, and you add. And to double check, by the way, the remainder is 0, which signals to you x minus 1 is a factor. So again, the quotient is going to be x squared plus 3x plus 2. So you go back, you factor this, x times x is x squared. The factors of 2, that will give you a sum of 3, will be plus 2 plus 1. Now that you can rewrite this in factor form, you've gone through the most difficult part. Look what happens. You look at the numerator, you look at the denominator, it can cross out x minus 1. And again, this signals to you you're doing it right, you're on the right track, you're one step away from getting full marks. So you go back and you plug in x to be 1 again, except this time it's not going to give you any kind of indeterminate. It's going to work out this time. So again, you can grab a calculator. I prefer doing a little bit of mental math. That's going to be 1 minus 5, which is -4, times 2, that's going to be -8. If I look at the denominator, right, that's going to be 3, times 2, that's going to be 6. Or you can say the final answer is going to be exactly -4 over 3. Now again, how do we know we're doing it right? And of course, now that I'm looking back, we could have crossed this one out as well. This is why this was the same idea, or the same number, I should say. Now, how do we know we're doing it right? I would say spend 1 extra minute and graph the actual function. This really helps you to develop that dual mindset that we've been advocating a lot, and it also helps you confirm you're on the right track. So again, by inspection, you can tell there's going to be a horizontal asymptote at 1, and of course, there'll be a vertical asymptote at -2, and there'll be 2 holes in this graph. But for the sake of double checking, what I'm going to do is this. So we'll draw the vertical, horizontal asymptotes. I'll label this quickly. Again, the major focus is not sketching the graph. That's not really the goal. The goal is to double check that you're doing it right. So when you think about x approaching to 1, you would discover there's going to be a cavity, roughly speaking, somewhere here. And the graph looks, roughly speaking, something like this. Now again, technically there'll be 2 holes. The other hole is going to be at -1, so I should draw another cavity. But again, the key is when you find the left limit and when you find the right limit, you would discover as x is approaching to 1, this hole is located at 1 and -4/3. So again, by activating a dual mindset, you can confirm that you're doing it right. If you find this video meaningful, please subscribe, comment, like, and share. I hope this makes sense.